There are thousands of DOS games. Most of them are terrible. I play one selected at random with a 20-minute time limit and record it live. This is the result. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another random DOS game show. And this is a game prototype presented by Chevron and Maxis called SimRefinery. So it's a business simulator about a refinery, and you'll see why that's notable. Some of you will have already figured it out and already know. Yep, we've got a SimRefinery map and a SimRefinery edit window. And you're probably thinking, hey, this looks familiar. There's even a pause button. That's because this is essentially SimCity, but a business management sim rather than a city builder. I mean, there are elements of city building, as you can see from the refinery here. But yeah, it's just SimCity's engine, but for a refinery. And you're probably thinking, well, it's just a quick palette swap to make some money. But this was done for an oil industry corporation called Chevron. Not going to go into that. They have an interesting reputation, as do most oil producers. But yeah, they wanted people who weren't that familiar with the refinery to figure out and have a basic understanding of how a refinery works. And I thought, you know what would be cool? If we had Will Wright do us a little business management sim. And this wasn't for commercial release. This was just for, you know, a company. You're not actually meant to be playing this, you know? So you have manual, shutdown, auto CTL. I don't think I'll shut down those. And you've got little things here which can indicate to you where they are. So we've got C2, C3, and C4. We've got markers as to where the light gasoline is stored and the heavy gasoline, where the jet and diesel is stored, your LGOs and HCOs, your alkylate and reformate and residuum, and H2 and IC4 and sulfur. So it's giving you essentially what it says, a map of a refinery or a basic refinery, showing where things are. And over here, you have the edit window. And because I've unpaused, I can now do things. Like, this button is not implemented. Oh dear. Well, I guess we can't do things, because a lot of the features aren't implemented. So it looks like this is just a tech demo and isn't actually meant to be played, which isn't a surprise to me, because I am a fan of LGR. And LGR did a video on this explaining, you know, the origins and what was going on with it. We just tried to build a crude unit there. I don't think we can just randomly build it on the grass, but whatever. Not implemented. Load dock. What? There's a helmet. Don't know what that does. So let's have a look at the budget. The operating expense budget. Fascinating stuff. And let's have a look at the AM report. Indeed, that makes sense to me. So you're getting the idea. You know, you can look through performance, profits allocation, annual reports, and so on. And it does remind me of a refinery-style version of capitalism. You know the game Capitalism? It was a business management simulator. Very dry, very niche, but I enjoyed it. And hey, you have the ability to make recordings and stuff. Cool. So you can have a look at sales forecasts, and you have to close them in order to get back to what you were. So we could probably change the product specifications of the gasoline. All right. Okay. And yes, we can change availabilities and cost and so on. You know, if we want to really muck around with the system. And feedstock supply availabilities. This means nothing to me, but I think that was the point. It's trying to give you a sort of basic understanding of a refinery and the operations within a refinery without actually, going into too much detail. Because if you go into too much detail, that information could fall into the wrong hands, shall we say. I actually knew somebody who worked with oil refineries in the oil industry and so on. It's a very, very complex task, and it's quite dangerous as well for some of the workers. And it's a very stressful environment. Not something I'd want to do personally, I'd have to say, especially at my current age. But yeah, I do have a begrudging respect for the people who work in the oil industry. This channel is largely apolitical, so I'm not going to comment on the oil industry. It has quite a mixed reception, shall we say. But yeah, SimRefinery. What is it? It's created for Chevron by the people at Maxis. It's a prototype game, and not all the parts are complete. It would have been interesting to see SimCity branch out into business management. Maybe there is a sim game that's more business management, I don't know. I've played a few now and they're all enjoyable, but obviously this is incomplete. It's a prototype, there's no sound, so it's one of those that you can just randomly play, have a look at, say, that's neat, and never touch it again. Which is precisely what I'm going to do. And if you like me talking about random DOS games, be they complete games or prototypes, feel free to take a look at the hundreds of other videos on my channel, and if you like what you see there, you can always subscribe. And if you are not crude, but know your oil, you might be one of my amazing patrons or members. Look at those great names. They could run a refinery, even if it was into the ground. A secret cabal of fantastic folk. So yeah, not much to say about this one, but this is better than what I did before, which was load up the demonstration, which didn't allow me to play in the slightest, and was very confusing. Until next time.